Hayek Medical, Module 8, Alarms. The alarm settings for the Hayek RTX display on the far right-hand edge of the screen. The most recently input settings display until overridden by the input of new settings. The alarm settings display in one of three ways. 1. If alarm limit set, the background highlights in green. 2. If alarm limits are not set, the background highlights in blue. 3. If alarm limits set but are out of range, the background highlights in red. If all alarm settings set at 0, a red sign displays in the top right-hand corner of the screen showing No Alarms Set. Please note, RTX Error 21 disconnect alarm is always active and cannot be disabled, regardless of mode of ventilation. If the RTX operates in an alarm condition, it gives both a visual, flashing, and audible alarm. The legend at the bottom of the screen indicates the problem. Error 21, disconnect alarm. This alarm will remain active at all times and does not need to be preset, and will be available in all modes of operation. Error 21 will display in legend at the bottom of the screen with this alarm situation. If you notice the image below, that exact screen will pop up when Error 21 is set off. In order to mute the alarm, the mute key will allow you to do so. Please be aware that it will only silence the alarm for 5 seconds. Pressing the cancel key will allow you to reset this alarm condition. And please note that if the unit requires to be restarted, since the alarm triggered a standby state, you will need to use the start-stop key after canceling the alarm. The alarm will sound if there is a break in the seal or connection with the large bore or cuirass pressure tubing. Pressure alarms. Disable alarms during secretion clearance mode if previously in use. If low pressure alarm persists, please check the seal attachment on cuirass and also to the patient. If the patient is spontaneously coughing, please note that the high pressure alarms will likely be reached. Pressure alarm persists or resumes on startup until alarm threshold is met, which means if you notice on the image below, at the very bottom, the set settings that you have inputted is what the actual settings are trying to achieve. Now, when you press start in order to start the modality, you will want the pressure settings on the upper left-hand corner for inspiratory and expiratory pressure to match those preset settings prior to setting the alarms, because otherwise, during the whole ramping process, those alarms will continually go off. Apnea alarm. This alarm will only work if the airway sensor is attached and accurately reading respirations. This alarm will also automatically default upon powering the unit on. Therefore, since it will automatically default, you will need to set it at 0 if no airway sensor will be in use or apnea monitoring is not required. And you will notice at the very top right-hand corner that the words No Alarm Set will appear in the upper right-hand corner when all the alarms are at 0. However, please note that the disconnect alarm will still remain in effect. If the alarm sounds, in order to clear it, you will need to press the cancel key. In respiratory triggered and respiratory synchronized modes, apnea alarm must be set to assure notification of a disconnect of airway sensor. And the lower limit for this alarm is 10 and the upper limit is 30. High respiratory rate alarm. This alarm should be set higher than the patient's rate once supported on the device. This alarm may indicate auto-cycling or tachypnea. And please note that any alarm accompanied by a red error message, you will need to press the cancel button in order to clear the error message. Otherwise, the alarm continues to sound despite being rectified. This concludes Module 8, Alarms.